Welcome to the dark side of Reddit. Tonight, I'm sharing 4 stories that were posted this summer. Stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. These aren't creepypastas. These aren't fiction. These are real accounts from real people who lived through something that changed them forever. As the rain falls outside your window tonight, listen carefully. Because what happened to these 4 individuals could happen to anyone. It could happen to you. Grab your blanket, turn off the lights, and whatever you do, don't fall asleep until you've heard what comes next. Let's begin. This first story comes from a user named throwaway_mortician, posted on our /nosleep 3 months ago. The post has since been deleted, but not before I saved it. The user claimed they had to leave their job immediately after what happened. They never worked in the field again. Here's what they wrote. Desiree Holloway had worked as a morgue attendant for 6 years at Riverside Memorial Hospital. Night shifts were her specialty. Less supervision, better pay, and most importantly, quiet. The dead don't complain. They don't gossip. They don't make her anxious like the living do. July 17th started like any other summer night. Humidity clung to her skin as she clocked in at 11 p.m. The morgue was in the basement, naturally, 3 degrees above freezing. Fluorescent lights humming their eternal drone, for bodies were currently in residence. Tag 1, elderly woman, natural causes. Tag 2, car accident victim. Tag 3, overdose. Tag 4, a John Doe pulled from the river that morning, badly decomposed. Desiree did her rounds, checking temperatures, updating logs. Everything normal, everything routine. At 1:47 a.m., she heard it. A metallic scraping sound, like a drawer, opening from the inside. She froze at her desk, pen hovering over paperwork. The sound came again, deliberate, slow. Drawer number 4, the John Doe. Just the cooling system, she whispered to herself. Just the metal contracting. But the sound continued. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Desiree's hands trembled as she pulled up the security feed on her monitor. The camera angle showed the wall of drawers. Drawer 4 was cracked open, just an inch. She had checked it 2 hours ago. It was sealed tight. She grabbed her phone, ready to call security, when the scraping stopped. Silence flooded back. The rain outside pattered against the high basement windows. The fluorescent lights hummed. Nothing else. Desiree took a breath. She had to check. Protocol demanded it. She approached drawer 4 with a flashlight, each step echoing in the empty chamber. The temperature seemed to drop further. Her breath misted. When she reached the drawer, she noticed something that made her stomach twist. The seal wasn't just loose. It was broken from the inside. Long scratches marked the interior of the stainless steel, as if something had clawed its way out. But that was impossible. The John Doe was in advanced decomposition. No muscle function. No movement possible. She pulled the drawer open fully. Empty. The body was gone. Desiree stumbled backward, her flashlight beam darting across the empty compartment. The body bag was still there, unzipped from within, the plastic torn, but the corpse gone. She ran to her desk, slamming the security office button. We have a code. I don't even know what this code is. A body is missing from drawer 4. Static crackled, then a voice. Desiree, bodies don't just walk away. Check again. I'm looking at an empty drawer. The seal was broken from the inside. Stay put. I'm sending someone down. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Desiree stood by her desk, eyes locked on the wall of drawers, waiting for movement, waiting for something. Then she heard it. Wet footsteps. Behind her. She spun around. At the far end of the morgue, near the storage room, stood a figure. Humanoid but wrong. Its skin hung loose, bloated, greenish-gray. River water dripped from its tattered clothing. Its face, what remained of it, turned toward her, and it smiled. You left the light on. It rasped, its voice like gravel scraping glass. I've been in the dark so long, the light feels like fire. Desiree's scream caught in her throat. The thing lurched forward, each step squelching, leaving wet footprints on the tile. They pulled me from the river. It continued. But I never left. I'm still down there. Still drowning. Still sinking. And now I'm here, and there, and everywhere the water touches. He reached out a decomposing hand. Help me, or join me. Desiree's back at the wall. Nowhere to run. The security door was behind the thing. She was trapped. In that moment of absolute terror, something inside her broke, not toward despair, but toward a memory. Her grandmother's voice from childhood. When you face the darkness, child, call on the light. His name is a weapon against every evil thing. With a trembling voice, barely a whisper, Desiree spoke. Jesus, Jesus Christ, help me. The thing stopped. Its smile twisted into a snarl. That name. Jesus is Lord, Desiree said, louder now, tears streaming down her face. Jesus Christ is Lord over death, over darkness, over everything that comes from the pit. The creature recoiled as if struck. Its form began to shimmer, water pouring from it in impossible amounts, pooling at its feet. The fluorescent lights flickered, then blazed brilliantly bright, brighter than they'd ever been. You have no power here, Desiree said, her voice steady now, filled with authority she didn't know she possessed. In the name of Jesus Christ, go back to where you came from. The thing screamed, a horrible, gurgling wail, and collapsed into a flood of black water that spread across the floor, then evaporated into steam. Within seconds, nothing remained except wet footprints leading from drawer 4. The security door burst open. 2 guards rushed in. Desiree, what happened? We heard screaming. She looked at them, then at drawer 4. She walked over and pulled it open again. The John Doe was back inside, zipped in his body bag, exactly as he should be, as if he'd never moved. But the scratches on the inside of the drawer remained, and the wet footprints were still there. Desiree quit that night. She didn't explain. She just left. In her Reddit post, she wrote, I don't know what I saw. Medical science would say it was exhaustion, hallucination, stress. But I know what saved me. I know what made it leave. Since that night, I've surrendered my life completely to Christ. Whatever walked out of that drawer wasn't just a corpse. It was something that death couldn't hold. But there's something stronger than death. I found him in a morgue at 2 a.m., and I'll never be the same. The post was deleted 3 days later. The account gone. But the story remains. Our second story comes from a user called /lost_and_the_pines, posted on our /missing411 2 months ago. It was a cry for help, a warning, and possibly a goodbye. Corbin Vance loved solo hiking. At 32, he'd conquered trails across 14 states, always seeking that perfect solitude, just him, nature, and silence. On June 23rd, he drove to Whisper Ridge Trail in northern Montana, a relatively unknown path that promised minimal foot traffic. The forecast called for clear skies. He packed light, water, snacks, first aid kit, GPS device, and his phone. The trail was marked as a 6-mile loop. Easy. He'd be done by sunset. He started at 3 p.m. The trail was beautiful, dense pine forest, the smell of earth and sap, birdsong echoing through the canopy. He passed the first mile marker at 3:22 p.m., then the second at 3:47 p.m. Right on schedule. At the 3rd mile marker, something felt off. The birdsong had stopped. Complete silence surrounded him. No wind, no insects, nothing. Just the sound of his boots on the dirt path. Corbin checked his GPS. It showed him on the trail, but the display flickered strangely. He shook it. The screen stabilized. He kept walking. The 4th mile marker appeared at 4:35 p.m. Except something was wrong. It looked identical to the 3rd mile marker. Same tree next to it with the same broken branch. Same rock formation to the left. That's weird, Corbin muttered. He took a photo of the marker with his phone. He'd compare it later. He continued forward. The trail looked the same. Exactly the same. Same curves. Same trees. Same routes crossing the path. At what should have been the 5th mile marker, he found the 3rd mile marker again. Or was it the 4th? He checked his phone. The photo he'd taken 30 minutes ago was identical to the marker in front of him now. Down to the same broken branch. The same rock. Okay, I'm turned around, Corbin said aloud, trying to calm himself. He pulled out his GPS. It showed him moving forward on the trail, but he was clearly walking in circles. He turned around, deciding to backtrack. He walked for 20 minutes, then saw the 3rd-mile marker again, from the same direction. Panic crept into his chest. He checked his phone. No signal, but that was expected out here. The time read 5:14 p.m. Plenty of daylight left. He just needed to stay calm. He walked faster now, determined to find his way out. But every turn brought him to the same spot. The 3rd-mile marker. Always the 3rd. The same trees. The same path. As if the forest itself was a loop he couldn't escape. By 7 p.m., the sun began to set. Corbin was running, sprinting, desperately trying to break free of whatever trap he'd fallen into. But the trail was infinite. Always the same. Always looping. At 9 p.m., in near darkness, he collapsed by the cursed mile marker, sobbing. "Help!" he screamed into the void. "Somebody help me." Only silence answered. Then he heard footsteps. Someone was walking up the trail toward him. Relief flooded through him. Hey, I'm lost. I need." The figure stepped into his flashlight beam. It was him. Corbin Vance, wearing the same clothes, carrying the same backpack, with the same terrified expression. "You can't leave," the other Corbin said flatly. "I've been trying for 3 days. There is no end. There is no beginning. There's only the trail." "What are you talking about?" Corbin scrambled backward. "You're not real. You're not." "I'm you from 3 days ago," the doppelganger said. "Or maybe 3 weeks. Or 3 years. Time doesn't work here. We're all trapped. Look behind you." Corbin turned. A line of figures stood behind him in the darkness. All of them were him. Dozens of Corbin Vances, stretching back into the shadows of the pines. All wearing different levels of decay. Some fresh, some skeletal, some just wrong. "Welcome to the loop," they said in unison. Corbin screamed and ran. He didn't care about direction anymore. He just ran. The forest blurred past him. The mile markers repeated endlessly. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. He ran until his legs gave out. He crawled. He begged. "Please, God, anyone, get me out of here." Days blurred. Or was it hours? He couldn't tell. His water ran out. His food gone. He lay on the trail, staring up at the canopy that never changed. And then he saw them, the other versions of himself, standing in a circle around him. "Join us," they whispered. "Stop fighting. It's easier when you accept it." "No," Corbin croaked. "No, I won't." But he could feel it, his mind fracturing, his sense of self dissolving into the loop. He was becoming one of them. Another echo. Another ghost on the trail that doesn't end. His final Reddit post came from his phone, somehow uploaded during a brief moment of signal. If you're reading this, don't hike Whisper Ridge Trail in Montana. Don't trust the markers. Don't trust the path. I've been walking for what feels like weeks. I've met myself 100 times. I think I'm dying. Or maybe I'm already dead, and this is hell. The trail never ends. The forest never changes. I see myself everywhere. They're waiting for me to give up. I think I'm ready to. God, if you're real, why won't you answer? Why won't you? The post ended there. Corbin Vance was officially reported missing on June 25th. Search parties found his car at the Whisper Ridge trailhead. They searched for 2 weeks. They never found a body. They never found a 3rd-mile marker. In fact, according to official records, Whisper Ridge Trail is only 4 miles long. There's no 3rd-mile marker. There never was. This 3rd story was posted on r/paranormal by a user named u/apt_3b_nightmares. It was posted 37 days ago. The account is still active. The user still replies to comments, but only with one phrase. "I'm still here. It's still happening." Tabitha Renwick moved into apartment 4B in a vintage Chicago building on July 1st. The rent was suspiciously cheap for the neighborhood, but the landlord explained it away. Old building, quirky plumbing, thin walls. Tabitha didn't mind. She was a night owl, a freelance graphic designer who worked from home. Quiet suited her. The first week was perfect. Her apartment was cozy, the neighborhood vibrant. Everything seemed ideal. Then, on July 9th, she heard it. At 2:47 a.m., directly below her apartment, someone screamed. Tabitha bolted upright in bed. The scream was raw, agonized, full of primal terror. It lasted 5 seconds, then cut off abruptly. She grabbed her phone, ready to call 911, when she remembered there's no apartment 3B. Her building was old, built in 1924, and due to some architectural quirk, the third floor only had apartments 3A and 3C. There was no 3B. Never had been. Just a wall where the door should be. But the scream had come from directly below her. Tabitha convinced herself she'd imagined it. Auditory hallucination. Stress. Something. The next night, at 2:47 a.m. exactly, it happened again. The same scream. The same duration. From the apartment that didn't exist. This time, Tabitha went downstairs. She stood in the third-floor hallway, flashlight app illuminating the space between 3A and 3C. Just a wall. Old wallpaper, peeling slightly. No door. No indication there'd ever been one. She pressed her ear to the wall. Silence. Then, from the other side, a whisper. "Help me, please. Help me." Tabitha jerked back. "Hello? Is someone in there?" "He won't stop." The voice continued, weak and desperate. Every night he comes. "Please, you have to help me." "I'll call the police. They can't help. No one can. He's already here. He's always here." Then came another sound, heavy footsteps, walking slowly, deliberately, and a new voice, deep and malicious. "Found you." The scream started again. Tabitha ran back to her apartment and called 911. The police arrived within 15 minutes. They checked the third floor. They confirmed no apartment 3B. No way to access the space between 3A and 3C. The building plan showed it as a utility shaft, sealed since construction. Old buildings settle, one officer said. Pipes expand. Creates weird acoustic effects. Probably just hearing your neighbors through the vents. But Tabitha knew what she'd heard. That was no pipe. That was a person. A woman. Being hurt. Every night. She contacted the landlord. He was evasive. "It's an old building," he muttered. "Lots of history. Just ignore it." "What happened in 3B?" Tabitha demanded. The landlord's face went pale. "There's no 3B. "But there wasn't there? What happened there?" He hung up. Tabitha did her own research. She found old newspaper archives from 1947. A woman named Dorothy Kellerman had lived in apartment 3B. She'd been murdered by an intruder. The crime was never solved. After her death, the apartment was sealed, literally bricked up, because no one would rent it. Too much trauma. Too much blood. And every night since Tabitha moved in, at 2:47 a.m., the exact time of Dorothy's death, the screaming began. Tabitha tried everything. Earplugs, white noise machines, sleeping at friends' apartments. But when she was home, she heard it, and the voice always called to her. "Please, help me. Don't leave me here with him." On July 28th, Tabitha broke. She couldn't abandon Dorothy. She couldn't ignore the screaming. She took a hammer to the wall in the third-floor hallway. The plaster crumbled easily. Behind it, old brick. She pounded harder. The bricks came loose. A gap appeared. The smell hit her first. Decay, rot, something ancient and foul. She shined her flashlight through the hole. The apartment was still there, frozen in time. 1940s furniture, covered in dust. A kitchen table. A radio. And on the floor, in the living room, a dark stain that had soaked through the floorboards. "Dorothy," Tabitha called into the darkness. "You came." The voice whispered from the shadows. "You finally came." A figure emerged from the bedroom doorway. A woman in a tattered nightgown, translucent, her throat slashed open. "Dorothy, he's still here," Dorothy said. "He never left. He stays. He waits. And now he has someone new." Heavy footsteps echoed from behind Tabitha. She spun around. Standing in the hallway, blocking the exit, was a man. Tall, gaunt, dressed in 1940s clothing. His eyes were black voids. He smiled. "Another one," he said. "Good. I was getting bored with just her." Tabitha ran. She didn't even think, just pure instinct. She scrambled back through the hole in the wall, into the sealed apartment, deeper into the darkness. "You can't leave," the man said, following her. "This is my home. She's my companion. And now so are you." Tabitha stumbled into the bedroom. There was a window. She ran to it, clawing at the latch. It wouldn't budge. Decades of paint sealed it shut. Behind her, the man approached. "I've been waiting so long for someone to come through that wall." In sheer desperation, Tabitha cried out, "Jesus Christ, save me. Lord, please." The moment his name left her lips, the temperature plummeted. The man stopped mid-step, his face contorting in rage. "Don't," he hissed. "Don't say that name." "Jesus," Tabitha screamed. "Jesus Christ is Lord. He has authority over death, over demons, over everything." Light exploded into the room, not from any physical source, but from everywhere at once. The man shrieked, his form disintegrating like ash in the wind. Dorothy's spirit, still standing in the doorway, looked at Tabitha with tears streaming down her translucent face. "Thank you," Dorothy whispered. "I'm free, finally free." And she faded, not into darkness, but into light, into peace. The sealed apartment began to collapse. Tabitha barely made it out through the hole before the entire space caved in, not physically, but spiritually. The darkness that had held it together for 76 years was gone. Tabitha moved out the next day. She's in a new apartment now, one with blessed walls and worship music playing 24/7. In her Reddit post, she wrote, "I don't know why I was chosen to help Dorothy, but I know who gave me the strength to stand against that thing. I gave my life to Jesus Christ that night, fully, completely, because I saw what evil looks like when it refuses to let go, and I saw what divine power looks like when it breaks every chain. The apartment still exists in the building records, but when you walk past that wall now, you feel warmth, peace." Dorothy isn't screaming anymore. She still lives in Chicago. She still works from home. But now, she prays every night at 2:47 a.m., just in case someone else needs help. Our final story was posted on our /Let'sNotMeet 6 weeks ago by a user named u/never_carpooling_again. The post was up for 48 hours before it was removed by moderators for being too disturbing. But the internet never forgets. Here's what was written. Imani Okafor worked as a paralegal at a downtown law firm. Most days, she took the train home. But on August 1st, the trains were delayed due to track maintenance. A co-worker, Preston Waverly, offered her a ride. They'd worked together for 3 years. He seemed nice enough. Quiet. Professional. "I really appreciate this," Imani said, settling into the passenger seat of his sedan. "No problem," Preston said with a smile. "It's on my way." The first 15 minutes were normal. Small talk about work, the weather, traffic. Then Preston missed her exit. "Hey, you passed my street," Imani said. "Oh, sorry. I'll loop around," Preston replied. But he didn't loop around. He kept driving, away from her neighborhood, toward the industrial district. "Preston, where are you going?" "I just need to make a quick stop," he said. His voice had changed. Flatter, colder. Imani's heart began to race. "Let me out. Now. We're on the highway. Can't stop here." "Then take the next exit." He didn't respond. He just kept driving. Imani reached for her phone. Preston's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist hard. "Don't. Let go of me." She tried to pull away, but his grip was iron. "I said don't," Preston repeated. His face was emotionless now. "Dead. You're going to sit there quietly until we arrive." "Arrive where?" He smiled then, a horrible, empty smile. "You'll see." Imani's mind raced. She was in a moving car on the highway with a man she barely knew. A man who'd just revealed himself to be something monstrous. She scanned the car. Child locks on the doors. He planned this. Preston, please. She tried reasoning with him. You don't want to do this. Whatever you're thinking. I've been thinking about this for 2 years, Preston interrupted. Since the day you started. Watching you. Learning your schedule. Your routines. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. His smile widened. And you just got in my car. Terror consumed her. Imani thought of her family. Her mother. Her little sister. Would they ever know what happened to her? Preston took an exit into a rural area. Trees lined both sides of the road. No houses. No lights. Just darkness. There's a cabin, Preston said conversationally, as if discussing weekend plans. 10 miles from here. Soundproof. I built it myself. You'll be the third guest. Third? Imani's voice broke. The first 2, well, they didn't last as long as I'd hoped. But I've learned from our mistakes. You'll last longer. Imani began to hyperventilate. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. Please, she sobbed. Please don't do this. Please. Begging doesn't help, Preston said. I've heard it before. They turned onto a dirt road. The cabin appeared in the headlights, isolated, decrepit, surrounded by woods. Preston parked. Here we are, he said cheerfully. Home sweet home. He pulled a knife from the glove compartment. You're going to walk inside calmly. If you run, I'll catch you, and it'll be much worse. Understand? Imani nodded, tears streaming down her face. Preston got out and walked around to her door. He opened it. Out. Imani stepped out on trembling legs. The night air was cold. The woods are silent except for the rustling of leaves. This was it. This was how she died. But as Preston grabbed her arm to lead her toward the cabin, something inside Imani ignited. Not hope, not courage, but something deeper, something primal. She remembered her grandmother's words at church. Call on the name of the Lord, and you will be saved. Jesus, Imani whispered. Preston froze. What did you say? Jesus Christ, Imani said louder. Jesus, help me. Preston's face twisted with rage. Shut up. Jesus is the Lord. Imani screamed into the night. Jesus Christ, save me. Preston raised the knife, but before he could bring it down, his entire body seized. He stumbled backward, dropping the weapon. His eyes widened in shock. What's happening? He gasped. Imani felt it, a presence. Powerful, protective, surrounding her like a shield. Preston fell to his knees, clutching his chest. I can't breathe. And then, headlights appeared on the dirt road. A police car. The officer got out, hand on his weapon. Step away from her. Now. Preston collapsed completely, writhing on the ground. The officer arranged for backup, then approached Imani. Ma'am, are you hurt? I'm okay, Imani stammered. He was. We know, the officer said gently. We've been tracking him. Got a tip about his vehicle. You're safe now. Backup arrived. Ambulances. More police. Preston was arrested, still gasping for air, as if invisible hands were choking him. They found the cabin. They found evidence of 2 previous victims. Preston Waverly was a serial killer, and Imani was supposed to be number 3, but she wasn't. In her Reddit post, Imani wrote, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. The police were tipped off by an anonymous caller, who gave them Preston's exact location, but they have no record of the call. It just appeared in their system, and the way Preston collapsed the moment I called on Jesus. Medical examiners said he had a spontaneous panic attack, but I know what happened. God sent angels to protect me. I surrendered my life to Christ that night, in a hospital room, surrounded by police and evidence of what almost was. I should be dead, but I'm alive, and I'll spend the rest of my life telling people, when you have nothing left, call on his name. He will answer. Preston Waverly is currently serving life in prison. He's tried to appeal. Every appeal has been denied. He claims that night in the woods, something supernatural held him down. That invisible hand choked him until the police arrived. The courts call it delusion, but Imani knows the truth. For stories, for lives changed forever. Two found salvation in the darkest moment. Two were consumed by the very darkness they couldn't escape. The morgue attendant who met something that shouldn't walk and called on a name above all names. The hiker who entered a loop that never ends and may still be walking even now. The woman who heard screams from an apartment that doesn't exist and freed a soul trapped for 70 years. And the paralegal who got into the wrong car and discovered that prayer isn't weakness, it's power. These stories came from Reddit this summer. Real accounts, real people, real evil, and real redemption. As you drift off to sleep tonight with the rain outside your window, remember, the darkness is real, but so is the light. And sometimes, all it takes is one name that has power over every demon, every evil, every force that seeks to destroy. Jesus. The choice is yours. Will you call on him before it's too late? Or will you walk the endless trail, scream in the seal department, become just another story whispered on the dark side of Reddit? Sleep well, if you can.